What's going on, Dungeon Dwellers? Welcome back to Dave's Dungeon. I am the one, the only Dungeon Master Dave, here to welcome you back to Spooktober 2023. What do we have in the bag for you today? Well, we have... Oh, hold on. Yeah, that's right. We have Seance. This is a 2021 film put out by Honor Studios. I'm not sure if it's an honor or for honor or just honor, but because it's listed about 3 different ways. But it's put out by Honor Studios. I've only found it on Tubi, but I'm sure you could find it somewhere else if you looked for it. It's written by R.J. Buckley and directed by Christopher James Kramer. Yeah, it's an interesting movie. So let's get into the body count, because we might even have some gory details for this one. We have one "Will this camera stop spinning" scene, complete with we're not sure who we're supposed to be paying attention to in the beginning. One warning about the experience before it starts, because of course there's some sort of warning about what we may encounter, but usually they're just all bullshit, right? Right? One, you promise contact every time, sort of questioning during the seance, which you don't normally have. One skeptic at a seance. This usually goes well. What could go wrong? When it's Robert's turn to ask, oh look, the table's turning. One, now it's Amanda's turn to ask for a sign. That was a little weird. Then we get into the very beautiful Eric song. If you know anything, it's Raindrops by Chopin. One high note for yes, one low note for no, because, that's of course how we communicate with the people in the afterlife. It's bing bong. One toccata and fugue in D minor by Bach, but I'm not sure where they got that version of it from, and I'm not even sure that was it, because it's not the part of it you normally recognize. One floating pendulum that breaks the circle, because of course the skeptic's gonna cause problems. One invite me in spirit that opens a front door. One, what are you, 5 years old quote. One 10.5-minute title card. It was a little weird to go that long and think I hadn't seen the title yet. One, thanks for coming everyone but the skeptic. One YouTube skeptic debunker, Andrea Myers, but don't call me Andrea, Andy. One, I can't believe you put wheels on this. It totally proves it's fake. One, let me film you / no one films in this house conversation. One, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Because if anything, this movie, the moral of the story is breaking the rules breaks you, and you deserve it when you behave badly. When she broke the rules, renegade for life moment, because of course. One, does it count as journalism if you just break in places and won't leave? One, host of fact, fiction, or folklore. Do people really not recognize you? Quote. I mean, I mean, it's kind of important that our skeptic Andy and our seance spiritualist slash botanist Nate um really have this conversation of like, hey, are you serious that people don't know who you are? Because we don't know who either one of them is. So, introductions. One YouTube famous isn't really famous quote. Yeah, that sounds really hard. Like you have it tough. Ooh, you know. I'm sure all the recognition doesn't come with some perks. One Russell Beat story, because what good would it be if we didn't have a skeptic that came once before and had a tragic end? One Stanley Hansen episode punch, which I kind of wish they had left in as like a stinger at the end, as like a, you stayed till the end of the credits, here's a funny one for you, and cut to it, but we'll let it go. One Peekaboo ICU skeptic demon murder, complete with he could only see it in the camera as it was taking pictures of him. Because, of course, that's the only way you're going to see a demon behind you. One, nothing is irrefutable to you skeptic vultures quote. One, what the hell is going on in the kitchen scene, complete with knives stuck in a cutting board and dishes washing themselves. One, would you kindly get the fuck out of my house quote. You know, because at this point, you really got to start to wonder, like, is he going to have to call the police? Are the ghosts going to do Nate a favor? One, quit flirting with me, when the protagonist really wasn't flirting. One botanist who holds seances in his house, meet Nate Green. Because, of course, his last name is Green. Because, of course, it is. One, say something smart, quote, with, well, because you said something smart, now I need to know the whole story. One, can I have a glass of that, inviting herself in scene? Because, of course, the person who needs to learn a lesson is going to invite themselves in. One 2012 backstory. He moves in. It's a weird house, but he's an atheist. So it's cool. One, that was not a ghost. That was just a shitty board in a house, falling houseplant scene, which, for someone who's trying to prove his claims true, he's doing everything he can to misdirect into the sorts of things that you wouldn't, the sorts of things that would get you caught trying to fake. Okay, the little suggestibilities lead to further untruths. One roommate moves in, one ghost breaks TV. One, you really don't know who's showing up then, question mark. Which, I have to say, is probably the unsafest way to hold a seance, but it works for him. One roommate decides to hold a seance from information he got off the internet, because that always goes well. One, she broke up with me after that. Because of course she does, because it went too far. One, please come downstairs and stop messing with my house, because something's upstairs that Nate's scared of. And I have to say, if the seance spiritualist person running the show is scared of a place, maybe you should be too. Just saying. One quantum mechanics explanation of ghost phenomenon, complete with wave people. And I gotta say, I actually kind of dig this. This is actually kind of a cool, fun little haha in the film. So stick around. One, you just put me through a 1 hour long cavity search quote. One, the mysterious Miss Myers backstory, which is supposed to explain why she's a skeptic, but on the back of it, you're kind of just left feeling like she's the asshole. One, my mom slipped on some ice is why I'm a skeptic backstory, complete with, and because there was no magic, I really started to hate magic, sort of tit for tat, which, one, oh my god, we should totally like hang out trying to pick up a guy, and one, oh my god, like totally no. One, eat shit plant fucker, complete with, wait, plants do eat shit. Yeah. Second, don't go upstairs, I'm warning you. This one a lot more direct, but, no one listens. One, renegade for life, at least the rest of it. One, taking other people's shit because I have trauma over my mother scene. One, Andy threatens the house, which turns out to be a big mistake. One, Andy should have listened about not going upstairs scene. One, who's that behind you? Surprise, Nate. Because Andy starts taking photos again, and turns out they're not alone in the house. One, no escape now, Andy. Shouldn't have talked shit. Shouldn't have talked shit. One, you want to get nuts? Okay, let's get nuts. Oh shit, no. Scene. And before you go, wait, are you riffing or is she riffing? She's riffing. She actually quotes Batman. You want to get nuts? Okay, let's get nuts. One, is the room all of a sudden crowded to you? Scene. One, let's kick Nate in the head again for good measure. One, wouldn't it be great if my posse came out right now? Quote. One, she finally believes that there are ghosts in the house trying to kill them. Because, now of course she has to. One, I don't have keys, so we're both gonna die. One, I had the car blessed so we would have a portable panic room, but I didn't put keys in it. Scene. One, I did tell you not to screw with my house. I told you so. One, I guess I only stayed because I didn't want to be alone anymore. Confession. One, what? Tell the super angry skeptic her dead mom is leaving bumblebee stuff all over my house for her. Sort of, your mom's here. One, do not leave the portable panic room. Portable poltergeist panic room, that is. Alliteration, I hate you, but portable poltergeist panic room. Bleh. One, mom, please help me. I need your help. One, celebrating too soon. And now I'm stuck in a window. One, promise she will never post about the house. One, waking up the neighbors. And we're all shouting now. One, I would like to go to the hospital now, because of course he probably needed to by that point. One last message from Mom about being tenacious. And then one broken promise with consequences. Dave says, 3 Skulls. You got to see this one. You really got to see this one. MVP awards go to Michael Minto as Nate Green, Miranda Sherman as Andy Myers, or is that Skirman? I'm not sure on that. You'll have to forgive me, Miranda. Christopher James Kramer, the director, and R.J. Buckley, the writer, for making a movie here about a topic that I didn't think many people would know about. Plus, I know nobody's seen this film. I mean, when I found this film, I was just tooling around through the horror section and happened to see an image of something, went and looked it up, and saw maybe like 5 people had seen it. So, that's going to do it for the non-spoiler part of this review. If you liked it, make sure you leave a like, and make sure you subscribe if you want to see more and keep up with us as we finish out the rest of this Spooktober. Our next movie is going to be Barbarian. So, hope to see you then. But now you need to run away. Run as fast as you can. Okay, so let's get into the gory details and talk about personal responsibility versus whether the universe cares whether you believe. I think the reason why you want to see this movie and the reason why this movie is wholly worth watching is how many of us haven't had our moment of watching a YouTube video or watching something on the internet and going, oh man, I'm really, this is really cool, or this is really neat, and you sort of, to use a wrestling term, mark up. You believe, you give yourself over to belief in it, and only to come to find that of course it's fake, of course there's no truth to it, of course there's some nonsense going on with it, and it's ultimately a disappointment, and it's ultimately a reason you don't believe next time. And so you go through life with a sort of negging everything to make sure that it's real. And unless it's proved itself, you're just not going to believe. And I don't know, for me, this movie touched on the sort of, and when you stumble across the real side of it, consequences. Other side of the math of like, why do we believe in the first place? Because what happens when we actually come across it? Well, it's not going to care whether you believe or don't believe. It's just going to, and then you're going to have to deal with it. So I think the Nate story kind of gives you that someone who's fallen into it and for one reason or another has decided to ride it out. I mean, has fully integrated it into their life and has said, this is no worse than any other situation I might find myself in. And this is one where I actually have a connection to this and a skill and a way to turn this into a valuable service to others. So why not? I think Nate's a good sort of someone who's actually dealing with it versus Andy is your other side of disbelief isn't bad except when it's denying the facts in front of your face. The skepticism isn't a problem. It's when you're skeptical to the point where you can't determine what's real and what's not, and you've disconnected from reality to the point of having your own facts. Yeah, I know. Some of you just go, oh, yeah, I know. This movie sort of pokes at that. If that makes you uncomfortable, that's what horror movies are supposed to do. I also like the sort of, the ghosts really don't give a shit kind of thing going on here where there's the bigger demon in the back of, we don't know what this glowy eyed thing is, but the ghosts don't give a shit. They're sort of trolling the whole time and making things better and worse, and making the proof evident and not so evident, and putting people in their place and making them deal with their shit. So I don't know. I really like this one, and it's super fun, and it's not too complicated. It's not some grand, like, 2-hour thing. It's like an hour and 30 minutes, I think. I think it's like an hour and 40 maybe, at longest. But it really is a short, sweet, to the point kind of story, and I really, really dug it. And it's an indie, so it didn't have a lot of production value, but at the same time, I mean, they literally made a movie about a seance and what goes on in seances. So it's like, I really want to cover it. I really, really liked it. And I think you will too. I think you should really give this one a shot. It's on Tubi. It costs you nothing to go see it and watch it. And I tried to, for my free and my budget viewers out there, keep that in mind. But anything else I want to talk about? Oh yeah, the other theme of the movie is your trauma is your problem. This movie doesn't care that Nate has trauma. Doesn't care that, sorry, I had a bug. Doesn't care that Nate has trauma. Doesn't care that Andy has trauma. It basically goes, so what? Everybody's got it. Now deal with it. Now go out and do what you're supposed to do and deal with it. And when you go back on your word is usually when you suffer the worst fate. And so you see it in the first sort of skeptic, and you see it in the second one, where always so obsessed with getting to facts and getting to the truth and getting to honesty, and yet so willing to break their own word. And so here comes that demon. But anyway, that's going to do it for this review. I hope you've enjoyed it. Little shorter today, but again, the movie's a little shorter and it's not so complicated. So you should feel free to jump off in this one at your leisure, and I hope you will. But thanks for joining me on these adventures, Dungeon Dwellers. I hope to see you on our next ones. But until then, don't go playing in anyone else's house. And don't go summoning anyone you don't know.